Okay, so today we will start talking about class and objects. Okay, okay. So what is a class? Okay, class is mainly, it's you group your functions and variables together, right? So how do you group your functions and variables? The related functions, right, and related variables are grouped together, right? So so when you group those related functions and variables together, it kind of makes one definition, okay? Or we're talking about a unique identity. I mean, you just can't put every functions together, right? Okay. So for example, I always give this example, right? Let's say you talk about Apple, right? The moment you say Apple, you get some information automatically, right? The shape of an apple, the taste of an apple, right? What you can do, right? You can eat an apple raw, right? You can probably make some sweet dishes out of it, right? But if I say I'm playing cricket with apple, right? So you won't believe that, right? That how can you play cricket with apple? Because we associate apple with some properties, and clearly playing cricket with apple is definitely not one of those properties of apple, right? So that's what I mean to say, that related functions and variables, right? Okay. So if I have to declare a class, I have to choose what functions and properties I need to make part of that class. So function, when you add to a class, it's called methods, right? And of course, you'll have variables also as part of your class. That's the definition. And definition is only one time, right? Somebody has told you what apple is, and now you know what apple is, right? You want to refer to the meaning of apple again and again because apple is same meaning. But now when you use it, okay, you have to create an object. Okay, so class is definition. Just because you know apple doesn't mean that you can eat apple, right? You have to probably grow an apple or buy an apple to eat it. So that process is called creating object. So you have class which has just the definition, but if you have to use it for your work, for your requirement, you have to create an object of the class. Okay. So object is an usable form. And obviously, since object belongs to the class, all the properties of the class will be made available to the object. Okay. So object will have all the properties. So when we create object of string or list, all the properties that is defined under the class list got automatically associated with each of the object that we created, right? Gets created. Okay. Now, there are some things which are common for entire class. And there's something which is unique to each object, right? In case of apple, like shape of apple probably is common to all kinds of objects, right? And if you talk about the which area it is grown, right? You have name, right? Australian apple, Fiji apple, Indian apple, right? So that is very unique to the object that we create. So there are some properties which are unique for the entire class, and there are some properties which are unique to the object, right? So like cost of an apple, okay, shape of an apple, you will not ask me. But cost of an apple, you'll ask me because cost of an apple varies with every object to object. So you will end up having, okay, as I said, class and objects is made up of functions and variables, okay, functions and variables. And okay, you will end up having functions and variable for class and specific for object, right? So So now you will have class does not have just two members. They now have four members, right? Functions which are common for everything. So you say class level functions, class level variables, and you'll have class level, or sorry, object level functions and object level variables, isn't it? So let's take an example. Okay. So let's say I want to create a class called library. Okay. And I'm going to add related members to it. So how do you create a class? You create class using keyword called class. Okay. And then you add the class name. What kind of class you want to create? You want to create, let's say, library, right? So I'll say library. Okay. So you just created class library and colon. Okay. So class library, that's how Python knows that, okay, you're creating a class. Colon indicates beginning of block for class. Okay. I want to create a simple function, okay, which is, let's say, which is, okay, I'm just thinking, I mean, I want to build one by one. Okay. So let's first take, um, variable. Okay. So I'm taking a variable called total books. That's So total books equal to 0. So I'm saying total books equal to 0. Okay, simple. So now here, okay, this is called class level variable. Why it is a class level variable? Because I have not associated under I have not told it, okay, I have not told that it is an object level. So if variables, okay, remember this, variables needs to be told if it's object level. By default, it's class level. Okay. Functions, or rather methods, needs to be told if it's class level. By default, it's object level. Okay. So let's keep this in mind. When we see the usage, right, you'll get a lot more clarity. But just because I have not said anything, I've just created a variable inside a class, it became class level. Okay. So now if I have to create an object of this class library, I will put the object name. So I say lib1. Of course, object name could be like anything, right? But it has to follow the rules of variables that we have discussed. So lib1 equal to library. Okay. And you have to give bracket open and close here. Okay. When you define class, okay, then giving bracket open and close is not mandatory. Okay. It is not mandatory. You can have it or you don't give it. I'll give you, later we'll see when we need to give it. For now, let's understand that it is, okay, here when you create the class or object rather, when you create an object, that's when we need to give bracket. Okay, done. Now I want to print total books. So I have to call this member of class. So I'll say library dot total books. I will say library dot total books. Now when I run this program, so see class library, okay? So we created an object called lib1. And now I'm saying library, the class name dot total books, or I can say object name, lib1 object. Both is giving us 0. So this is calling using class name. and this is calling using object. Okay, since class level variables, we just said that, right? Class level variables is common for all the classes. So whether you create directly using class or you create using library. Okay, so let's say I create using, let's say, another object, lib2. Okay, and I call print lib2 dot library. Oops, sorry, what I'm doing. Dot total books, right? Library is the class name. Lib2 dot total books. Again, you get same answer. So class level variables or class level functions we'll see later, maybe if not today, tomorrow, will always give you same answer irrespective if you call using class name or you call using any of the object name. Next one, I'm going to create a object level function or what you call as method. So def, okay, def method name is, let's say I call add books. Okay, add books, and of course functions will have bracket open and close, right? Now this self is the keyword that you have to add to object. That's how it knows that it's an object level. Okay, we don't have to pass any value for self. That's what, if you remember when we were doing list here, when we said list equal to, okay, and then we said list1 dot append, I told you, right? All these functions will have first keyword as self. It indicates that this function is an object level function. Okay, that's it. That's the, that's why we have self. It has no other significant. Okay, and we never passed values for self. Self is automatically taken care of. Okay, so here also we have to go and add self. Okay, and it is taken care of. Now again, interestingly, it need not be self. It can be anything. You can put ABC, XYZ. Okay, XYZ as well, not a problem. But if you're using XYZ, then we have to use everywhere else also XYZ, indicates object level. Python does not restrict. Now, if you look program in Java, I think I'm not totally correct. I think it's called, okay. My mind is not working anyway. Let's forget about that. So you give, your own name here, XYZ. Okay. Now it doesn't matter, okay, what you give. Okay, so let's say we give XYZ. That's why I said by default it's a object level. Now I go here and I say print adding books to the library. Okay, so this has become your object level variable. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate using XYZ and later I'm going to change it back to self. Okay, because self is the international accepted practice, and that's why, it's always better to follow standards, right? Because it's not only your code will be used by many people, so it's better to follow standard. But just to demonstrate to you that it doesn't matter whether you give self or anything else, I'm going to do that, but later I'm going to change it back to self. Okay, so here add books. Now, of course, I can call this using lib1, lib2. Okay, so I can say lib1 dot add books. Okay, lib2 dot add books. Now, if I try to use library dot add books, okay, now you run it. Okay, so see here, lib1, lib2 worked very well. But when you say library add books, missing one required positional argument XYZ. Okay, so since we are saying object level, okay, we should avoid it by calling through class level. Okay, so I'll just take another example. We spoke about Apple, right? Let's say human being. So human being, okay, is a class. All of us becomes an object of that class human being. right? So what is the population of Hyderabad? Now, if I ask population of Hyderabad, okay, if you talk about specific to Hyderabad, let's say class is people living in Hyderabad. Class is people living in Hyderabad. And then we all become part of um, class people living in Hyderabad. Now, if I ask what is the population of Hyderabad, whether I call using class, whether I say, you say, it is all same, right? Population of Hyderabad will not vary. If for you it will not be different. For me, it will not be different, right? It has to be same. So such variables are called class level variables. Number of books will not vary, will remain same. So we say class level. But what is the name? What is your name? What is my name? Now, name is specific to the object. We have become object of the class people living in Hyderabad, right? And our names are different. Our addresses are different. Okay. Our interests are different. Now, these which are unique to the objects are part of your object level. And if I say, what is the interest of people living in Hyderabad? You cannot have one answer. Okay. What is the name of people living in Hyderabad? Stupid question, isn't it? This is like stupid question. Okay. Add books to the class library. No. Okay. Library, we have put XYZ, it is part of object. What is your name? What is the name of people living in Hyderabad? Stupid question. Similarly, library.add books is stupid question. Okay. We don't do it. Okay. Because it's an object level, it should be accessed by objects only. Okay. Now I go here and let's say I add this. Now, inside the function, you can have class level or object level variable. Or you can even have variables that we are passing from main program to the class. So three types of variables can exist in this function. Okay, the function that we're writing, add books, can have three types of functions. It can have class level functions, can have object level functions, and a normal function which we can pass from here, right? We can pass add books, we can say 15 or 10. So it has to handle 10 as well, right? So let's say if I have to handle 10, I'll say um, copies or something like that. Let's say 10 copies. Okay. So now you see here, okay, if you're using a variable, we have to indicate whether it is a class level variable, object level variable, or a simple variable that is being passed to this. Okay. So if you're using class level variable, you will use library class name dot total books plus equal to 1. I'm increasing the count of total books by 1. If it is object level variable, you have to use XYZ. Exact same name that you are using here. Okay? Exact same name that you are using here. So I'm going to say, if you're using self, you'll say self dot. If you're saying XYZ, you have to say XYZ dot to indicate that it's an object level variable. Dot, I'll say total copies. Now, total copies are specific to each book, right? That's why I'm putting it as an object level, logically, equal to copies. Now, this is the variable which is being passed. This is neither class level nor object level. The scope of this variable, as we discussed yesterday, scope is within this function. That's all. After this function, nobody knows what copies is. But object level and class level will be known across outside class as well. Okay, but this is a local variable. Okay, this is a local variable which will, which life will finish after end of this function. So after that, nobody knows what copy is. Okay, so I've created this function. Okay, this is now, as I said, since I'm using XYZ here, it is object level, right? It is specific to each object. Okay, now here I go and I say add books 10. Okay, so add books will be total copies for this object will be 10. Now when I run it, obviously you'll get error saying missing one required portion argument copies. Okay, because when you do add books here, it expects one required positional, or you make it default. Let's say I make default as 0 or maybe 1. Let's say default is 1. So earlier it was a required positional, right? That's why it was expecting a value from there. Now I made it default, right? If you make it default, so obviously if you don't pass it, it will take 1. So now the error will go. Okay. So now you see, I have called these two objects, lib1, lib2, add books, and add books is adding the increasing the books count, right? Total books count is it's increasing. That means basically we are adding book 1 and book 2. Now same uh, print that we did earlier. Okay. If I put it now here, it's like asking population, which is common for everyone, right? Class and object, everyone. See, they all are giving us 2, 2, 2, 2. All are giving us 2 because we have increased the value 2 times and everybody knows that information that you okay, you have increased the value of variable 2 times because we created 2 objects. So we increased by 2 times. Great. Now if I have to print, okay, okay, what is that? Total copies. Okay. I told you, right? This is like asking, this is a stupid question. What is the name of people living in Hyderabad? Lab total copies. Okay, it is stupid, so it will throw error. Library has no attribute total copies. This is not a class level attribute. Okay, so that's why see Python is so clear, saying that no attribute total copies. Did you mean total books? Total books have already used here, so you cannot use it because this is object specific. You cannot use it for class level. Now, if you run it and see, total copies for lib1 is 10. This is what we give. And for lib2, it's showing 1 because this is the default where we are adding. So remember, now you see, object is able to maintain separate copies. Objects are able to maintain separate copies, no matter where you call it. You can call this object dot total copies after even 100 lines of code. Still, it will give you the last value that you have assigned to it. So this is how class is able to maintain different information for different object. You can create multiple classes. How many people are there? No, millions, billions, right? How many fruits apple will there? Billions, right? So you can create so many copies. And every time you create a copy, every time you create an object, when it's a copy, it's like object. Every time you create an object, all the properties of the class will get added to the object. So today, uh, so far, we have seen just the two members, class level variable and object level variable. We still have to see, no, we have seen third one also, right? XYZ dot, this is your object level variable, right? That means you are seeing three types of members. We have seen already three types of member, class level variable, object level variable. So how do you differentiate between class level and object level? In class level, you have to say class name dot. In object, object level variable, right? Okay. Now you see here, when we create, okay, add books, okay, so not only total copies, we can have things like title, right? So I can add title, uh, author, title, author. Let's say we have two more, right? Now here I'm going to say XYZ dot title author title. So here, let's say when we create, now when we create this total, where is that? Here, right? Add box. So we have to give values for title, right? So I'm going to say Python programming. Okay. I'm going to say Sachin Tendulkar. Okay. And here I say machine learning. Let's say here, Virat Kohli. Okay. So now, of course, right? I can even say live2 dot author. If I say live2 dot author, who's the author of library live2? You guys should also make an attempt. Why only I should be speaking? Huh? Virat Kohli. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So you're able to maintain different copies with different information. Okay. Now, I just said, right? Okay. We saw that you can manage with XYZ also, but then international practice is to write self. So let's write self only. So we have to change it. All these here. Okay. Now let's say I create one more object called lib3 equal to library. Okay. And then I forgot to say add books. Okay. I forgot to say add books. Now I'll try to call lib3 dot author. Obviously, lib3 as an object, it's there, but the property of author is not there. Okay. Exit code 1 error. Library object has no attribute author, right? This is line 34. Okay, so what has happened is you created the apple, but you have not assigned the properties of apple. Now that is wrong. That is, you know, based on what we are discussing about fundamentals, it's wrong, right? The moment you create an apple, it has to get all the properties. The moment you say book, library, add books, it should get all the information. So what uh, Python has done is Python has given us a special function called init, special functions. Okay. So all the functions, okay, and I did not talk about it before when we did string and list. I'll show you now. So if I say live1 equal to this, and when I say L1 dot underscore underscore, you see this? DOC underscore underscore DOC, okay, init underscore. All these are special functions. We'll talk about it later. Del item, del attribute, okay, directory, format, okay, underscore, underscore, something, underscore, underscore. So when you see underscore, something, underscore, underscore, that means those are inbuilt function. They have a predefined meaning. They have a predefined meaning. We call them as inbuilt function. Okay. We are not going to cover all of them, but yeah, we'll cover some, some common or useful functions. Okay. So the first one that we're going to talk about is init. Okay, so when you write your own function, do not give underscore underscore function name underscore underscore. In fact, later we will see that we need to give underscore underscore name, but don't give underscore underscore after the name. Like init is a function I want to call. So init has underscore underscore. So this is useful. Okay, we will end up creating such functions, but do not give underscore underscore afterwards. Because when you give underscore underscore, the people who's going to read your program will assume that it is inbuilt function, inbuilt method, not written by you, which is not right. So do not use that. Whenever you see underscore double underscore, name double underscore, it has a predefined meaning. Okay, you can, let's say if you are reading a program and you don't know what does it mean, you can actually do in Google and Google will tell you what it does. Okay, like for underscore underscore init underscore underscore, right? If I need to know what it does, I can copy this name, okay, and it is common for all the classes, okay. So it has a single meaning, okay, and I can go to, I'm going to share, wait. I can go to Google, put this name, and I say Python, okay, init Python. So init method is the Python equivalent of C constructor, okay, constructor in object-oriented approach. The init function is called every time an object is created from a class, okay. The init method lets the class initialize the object's attributes and serves no other purpose. It's only used within the class. Okay, so it's called every time an object is created. Okay, the moment you create an object, it is called. That's the main purpose of init. Now you saw doc also, right? So underscore underscore doc underscore underscore Python. Okay, it's called document string. Okay, so all these underscore underscore something underscore underscore has a predefined meaning. Okay, and it is common for all the classes. So you can actually go and search in Google what does it mean. We will do some of these things, okay, in our program. Let's go step by step. So today we'll talk about what is init underscore underscore init underscore underscore. This function, as we saw, it says is automatically called. Init is automatically called when you create an object. Okay, so instead of add books, okay, I will put it as init underscore underscore init underscore 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 init underscore underscore is the name that we have defined, and these are the parameters that init is taking. It's like, see, just that it has a predefined meaning, but it takes, okay, all this like a function only. It is taking all this, okay. It is called, I just said, automatically when object is called, right? Auto called when object is created. So where is object created? Which line object is created? Tell me.
18, sir.
18, 19, 20. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So automatically init will be called. Will be called. You don't have to call it. So that's what I'm saying. There's no chance of you to forget. Automatically when you create an object, init is called. And now when I run it, okay, it will give me error. Okay, because it is expecting that values for init. These are the values, right? So when I run it, init missing two required positional argument title and author, because copies is default. Title and author is missing. I need to give. So this one should go here. Okay, this one. So as the name says, init initialize. Okay, we in object-oriented language we call it as constructor. Constructor and destructor. Constructor is the first line that is called when you create an object. Okay, that is to initialize any variables. Destructors are the last function that is called, and it is used to delete all the variables, because when you have multiple objects, let's say create 100 objects, and each of these 100 objects have 100 variables, you'll end up with 100 into 100, right? 100 into 100 is what? 1 lakh, 10, 100K, 100K variables. Okay, and that will make your program slow. So when you're done with it, better to remove all those. So destructor, okay, does that, but here we don't have to do it. I mean, here this also provides destructor, okay, but we have garbage collector which will clean, will clear off. That's why we don't use it. But yes, this also has destructor. So let's say when you are done using object, now you want to destroy all the properties associated so that it does not occupy space in the memory, in your primary memory in computer. Okay, so if your program is running for many days, that's why, when program, laptop, you don't switch on, you don't switch off for many days, it becomes slow because there are so many variables in the memory. Even though they are not used, you have created, so it stay taking the space. And when you switch off, right, your primary memory gets cleaned, right? And when you switch on again, it becomes faster. But if you have written all the programs very well, managing all the variables very well, were not in use, delete it, things like that, your system generally will not become slow. Bad program will make your system slow. Okay. So coming back here, now library 3, see, I cannot proceed further. I cannot use lib3. I cannot use this until unless I create this, right? So I have to add some value here. Okay, that's the beauty of init. Initialize all the variables. Initialize all the variables here. So here I'm going to say machine learning. Now let's do something called SQL programming. Okay, and I'm going to say Dhoni. And copies, let's say I put 12. Okay, now when you run it, so you get 10, 11, Dhoni. Dhoni is the author for lib3. And we don't have to call add books. Anyway, we have deleted add books, right? So there is no function called add books now. Okay. You can have one more function called as, okay, def, def, say display details. Display details. Now when I say display detail, okay, and then I say self, okay, self, and I'll say here print, okay, print author title copy. I mean a title. First we'll say title /t author /t, okay, copies. We'll have titles /t author. Let's do /t copies. Okay. Now I will do, this is the last one, and here we'll have one more print, and now we will print our details. So print, just trying to be a little fancy, that's all. Okay, so here I'll say self, okay, function f self dot, okay. Now see here, here also I use self, automatically PyCharm has added, okay. I can use XYZ here also, or ABC, okay, or anything. So if you are using ABC, you have to use ABC dot self. So I'm using self dot title. Then I will say self in curly bracket, right? Self dot author. I want to replace the values, right? So that's why I'm saying self dot copies, right? It is copies, right? No, total copies. Sorry. Okay. Now see, display detail is one function, one method inside this. Okay. But it knows which title, which author, and which copies to take depending upon how we call it. Okay. So if I say print, not print, we are just calling, right? lib2 dot display details. When you say lib2 dot display details, it's enough. Lib2 dot display details is enough for it to call this. So when you run it, you see, okay, when I say lib2 dot details, okay, it knows, okay, I need to use lib2 object members only. So the lib2 object is machine learning Virat Kohli and 1 copies. Did you get it? This is what we say, okay, object level method. If I say lib1, it keeps track, okay, who's calling me. Information got changed. Now it's talking about the book 1, the library, the object 1. No matter where you call, it knows. So we are avoiding print, return and all those things, right? You give them together in one class and it knows what to print. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No? Good. Okay, last thing we'll see today, and then we'll end it. And tomorrow probably we'll take some little program and we will use again all this logic. So now, so we have seen three things, right? We have seen variables, both at class level, function level, methods at class level. We have not seen method at class level, right? We have seen only methods at object level. Display details, init, these are all object level methods. I'm going to say, so I told you, right? If you have to define, if you have to use a class level method, you have to tell to the Python that you are using class method. Okay. So before you do the def, you say @ class method. Okay. So now Python knows that, okay, the next function, just immediate next. Okay. Not that below everything. For every function, you have to say class method. So immediately next function is class method. So def, okay, print total, something like this I'm giving. Now you see it added something else, CLS. Okay, self was added for object and CLS for this. Now again, you can choose it to be something else. You can change it to XYZ ABC. This is just to tell that CLS is class level. Because I've used class method, this is no longer object space. This is class specific. I can put it anything. Okay, but let's use international practice only, CLS. And here I will say print total book count is CLS dot total books. Okay, so here since we are already using CLS, I don't have to say class name dot. I can simply use this CLS dot. Okay, so no matter what we call, okay, even if I call lib1 dot total books, no, what is that? I forgot what I did. Print total, right? So lib1 dot print total. So lib1 is first first object, but still it will give me the latest value because it's a class level stuff, not object level. So lib1 was the first book to be added, but still you are going to show 3 because no matter which object you call or which class you call, you get consistent same value for all. You get same value for all.
Sir, when do we know when to use class level and object level?
Tell me, no, if you want to ask my name, is my name same as everybody else's name?
No.
No. So that is an object level, right?
Mhm.
Where is Charminar in Hyderabad? Everybody knows.
Mhm.
Class level, right? So information which is common to the class, every method, okay? Assume that you're calling a method only by default. But if every method is going to give me same answer, then it is
Class level.
class level. If
Okay.
every method is going to give me different answer, then it has to be object level. Okay. Now
Okay.
in definition, okay, all your in Python especially, okay, functions which are outside any function, sorry, variables which are outside any function. This is outside any function, right? That means I'm putting this as class level. Okay. So class level variable will never be inside any function. It will
Mhm.
always be here. Okay. I'll
Mhm.
say variable2 equal to -1. Or let's say, okay, I'll say name of library equal to ABC International School Library. Okay. So now I have given a name. So all these are class level variables. And in definition, if you see @class method, that means this is class level. So from definition, you can see this. But what should go where is depending upon the question that you ask.
Mhm.
If should be unique to each object, yes, it has to be unique to each object. So it is object level. No, it is common for all the object. Number of people in the city or location of Charminar, right? Uh,
Mhm.
you know, so those are your class level. Name, my interest, my phone number, my email ID. All these are specific to each individual object. So that should go as your
Object level.
Yes, mostly inside init. Okay,
Okay.
we recommend that you use init and declare everything in class. So tomorrow we'll do one simple example. We'll do addition, subtraction, multiplication using class and objects. So you'll see that how, how we initialize all the variables within the init itself.
Okay.
Okay.